All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to zero in on one single pivotal scene from Romeo and Juliet. This is the moment a supposedly wise man makes a choice that pretty much seals the fate of our two young lovers. This, right here, is where the tragedy really kicks into high gear.
So let's start with this quote because it is the key to everything. This is Friar Lawrence's whole philosophy in a nutshell. He's basically saying nothing is purely good or purely evil. It's all about how you use it. A good thing, if you use it wrong, can turn into something terrible. And sometimes, a bad action can actually lead to a good outcome. You've got to keep this idea in your head because it explains the massive, fateful decision he's about to make.
Okay, so picture this. It's dawn. We find the friar in his garden just surrounded by all these plants and herbs. And as he's collecting them, he gives us this incredible little monologue that lays out his entire worldview.
He starts with the really big picture. He looks down at the ground and sees this profound duality. The earth, he says, is a mother. It's a womb that gives birth to everything. But at the same time, it's also a tomb where everything goes to die and get buried. For him, this whole cycle of life and death is just the fundamental law of nature.
And here is where his big idea gets really clear. He takes that concept and shrinks it down to a single flower. He holds it up and explains that its power is all in the application. If you just smell this flower, it's like a medicine. It cheers you up. But if you taste it, it's a straight-up poison that will stop your heart. The exact same plant has two totally opposite effects.
And this brings him to his final, most important point, that this exact same battle exists inside every single one of us. We all have what he calls grace, our good side, our potential for virtue. And we also have rude will, our raw, unchecked, destructive impulses. And just like with that flower, if our rude will takes over, it leads to death. It's a constant war inside us.
So, just as the friar finishes his big philosophical speech, his theory is about to get a real-world test. Because who shows up looking like he hasn't slept in a week? Romeo. And he's basically a walking, talking version of that two-sided flower.
Now, Romeo doesn't just come out and say what's on his mind. No, he talks in these confusing riddles. He's going on about being wounded by his enemy. The friar is totally lost. He thinks Romeo must have sinned, probably with Rosalind, his old crush, but Romeo swears that's all over.
The friar basically tells him, "Just speak plainly, kid," and Romeo does. He drops an absolute bombshell. He is in love with Juliet, a Capulet, and he needs the friar to marry them. And not next week, not tomorrow, today.
Now you might think a man of God would be happy to hear about love, right? Well, his reaction is the complete opposite. It is pure shock, disbelief, and then a really serious scolding.
He immediately calls Romeo out. He basically says, "You're not in love, you just think she's pretty." He accuses him of having love that's only skin deep, based in his eyes, not his heart. And the proof? The fact that he was supposedly head over heels for Rosalind just yesterday.
And he really doesn't pull any punches. He reminds Romeo of all the tears, the brine, he cried over Rosalind. He pretty much says the tear stains aren't even dry on your cheeks yet. He's asking, how can this new love possibly be real when you were so dramatic about the last one just a minute ago?
And this leads to his most serious accusation. He tells Romeo that his weakness, his emotional instability, makes him unreliable. He argues, if a man is this inconsistent, how can you possibly expect a woman to be strong and faithful? It's a major challenge to Romeo's entire character.
But you gotta give Romeo some credit. He has an answer. He says the friar is missing the single biggest difference here. His love for Rosalind was totally one-sided. She didn't love him back. But Juliet gives him love for love. It's mutual. And for Romeo, that makes all the difference in the world.
So, after all that lecturing, after all those warnings about being hasty and superficial, you'd expect the friar's final answer to be, absolutely not. But he does a complete 180. In a shocking reversal, he agrees. And his reason has almost nothing to do with Romeo and Juliet.
This is the million-dollar question, right? Why on earth does this man, who just perfectly laid out all the reasons this is a terrible idea, agree to do it? The answer is, it's a political calculation. It's a massive gamble.
And there it is. In a moment of incredible irony, the friar decides to misapply a virtue himself. He sees their love as a political tool. He thinks, just maybe, this one secret marriage could be the thing that finally ends the generations-long bloody feud between the Montagues and the Capulets. He's willing to risk their entire future for a chance at peace in Verona.
So he agrees. The plan is on. But even as he's leading Romeo away, he offers one last, chillingly prophetic warning.
Romeo is all about speed and impulse, but the friar hits him with these unforgettable words. It is the perfect summary of all his worries, and man, is it some serious foreshadowing. He is literally predicting the tragedy that's about to unfold, because no one, including himself, is willing to just slow down.
And that's really the question that hangs over the rest of the play, isn't it? The friar correctly identified the poison that's going to kill these two lovers, their reckless speed. But in his own attempt to turn that poison into a medicine for the whole city, he ends up just helping them run even faster towards their own doom.